What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me while I do my 10,000 steps this morning. And it's pretty damn cold out here. I'm not sure what the temperature is supposed to be today, but I'm glad I wore a damn hoodie because it is chilly out here. Shout out to you guys, subscribers, joining me on the road to 5,000. It's been an interesting last couple of days after the election. It's been meltdown after meltdown on one particular side. We know what that side is. And you guys, I mentioned to you before about how I seen women saying to divorce your husband if he was voting for Trump rather than Kamala, and how I greatly disagreed with this. I thought this was a terrible message. And Michelle Obama, at the one rally, she was encouraging women to vote differently from their husbands. I didn't like that as a message either. I thought that was just really terrible advice to give people. You're supposed to be advising them in a way that you believe is best for them, but you're going to tell them to go against their husband, the person who they lay next to every night. This is just a message that I did not agree with. I'll never agree with. I think it is absolutely absurd, but it just goes to show you the mentality of the left, of how they really do believe in division. They really don't believe in the nuclear family. It's like upside down world, when it comes to everything. Even if you are someone who votes Democrat, you have to just stop and wonder, like, what are these people on when they're telling you to do things that goes against your family or your spouse in particular. So I'm gonna use that to segue into this here. And it's about now after the election, I'm seeing even more women coming out saying, divorce your husband if he voted for Trump. But we're armed with a bit more information now because we've seen the statistics of the election. So one thing that I really didn't pay attention to before that I'm observing is oftentimes when that message is being thrown out there to divorce your husband if he voted for Trump, it is by liberal white women. Now, I seen that as being a trend, but it really didn't hit me as being anything significant. But now, as I said, after we've gotten a bit of information, some stats after the election, that sticks out to me a bit more now. It is always these liberal white women that are throwing out this advice. Now, why does that matter? Well, now that we've seen the way demographics voted, yeah, I'm so used to saying Democrat about everything. Now that we've seen the way certain demographics have voted, we now know that by and large, white women voted in the same direction as their husbands. So that's not up for debate. That's not something to go back and forth over. This is a matter of record. White women, by and large, voted in the same direction that their husbands did. So who are these women speaking to? Who is this message for? The whole divorce your husband if he voted for Trump instead of Kamala. Who is that message for? These are liberal white women who are throwing this out there. Now, obviously, conservative white women, they voted lockstep in line with their husbands. But it does look like there is a large number of women who were flipped. They once upon a time voted Democrat and now we're voting Republican this time. They flipped them and their husbands went that way. We look at Hispanic men, 45% of them voted Republican. So is this message supposed to be for, Hispanic women? I don't know. There's also, now, maybe it's for black women. I don't know. Because I think somewhere around 90% of black women voted for Kamala. So I'm like, is this message for them? But then I don't know about that either, because according to black demographics, the last time that I checked it, black women only get married at a 26% rate. So is this message for them, the 26% of them that actually, managed to acquire a husband? Is this supposed to be for them? If their husband voted for Trump, you should leave them? I don't know. So my advice is this, and if this reaches some woman out there, I hope I can help you out with this. My advice is this: do not listen to these very toxic messages. These messages, they're coming from women that I believe are single, do not have a husband, and they're going to give you the perfect formula to end up bitter and lonely just like them. Because again, we look at the numbers, and I'm just wondering, who exactly are you trying to influence to leave their husband? If the message is for other liberal white women, the majority of them seem like they don't have a man because they refuse to be under the headship, leadership, and guidance of a man. So many of them, they don't have a husband. They may have a boyfriend, possibly, but they don't have a husband usually, because a man isn't going to willingly sign up for the rest of his life to be with a woman like that who doesn't fall under his leadership. So I don't recommend listening to single women trying to tell you to opt out of your marriage and end up single too. Even if you may have wanted Kamala to win and she didn't, she lost pretty bad. But even if you may have wanted Kamala to win, look, she didn't, but you still have your life, you still have your family. Some of y'all got kids. I mean, are y'all really gonna up in your family, leave your husband and possibly children, breaking up the home because Kamala lost? Because y'all keep in mind, Kamala may have lost, and is embarrassing of a fashion that it may have been that she lost, Kamala is still going home to her husband. So y'all really gonna listen to some of these people tell you to get out here and struggle alone without your man? Some of you ladies, and listen, I love you ladies, but out here in real world situations, you're very poor decision makers. You need that man to be there with you and guide you through this and that, because you ain't got it on your own. You just don't. I'm sorry to say, many of y'all, your greatest blessing right now is that you have a man in your life who loves you and takes care of you and protects you. And on some emotional tirade because you salty that the election just didn't go your way, didn't go the way you liked it to, and you're gonna leave your man behind it, that just ain't the move to make. So for whoever needs to hear this, I hope it lands. Do not listen to these ridiculous women making the absurd suggestion that you leave your husband behind an election. Now, honestly, based on the numbers, I think most of you are okay and don't need this message. Based on the percentages that we saw, what demographics voted what way, I think most of you are good and do not need this message. But if this could even reach just 2 or 3 women who were thinking about doing this, and this wakes them up out of whatever silly thought process they may have been having, and they just kind of needed a voice of reason to tell them, hey, look, sis, move on. It didn't go your way. Maybe next time, but it ain't worth breaking up your family over. You really gonna get out here and struggle by yourself and have to go through visitation with kids and child support and all that stuff because somebody who you wanted to win the election didn't win, and you're ultimately forgetting about the fact that she's going back home to her family. Michelle Obama's going, she goes home to her husband every single night. The very woman who was telling you, oh, go out and vote against your husband, I really don't believe that she would take her own advice. Let's be for real here. Michelle Obama, and people love Michelle Obama. I liked her. I wasn't as enamored with her as many others. But ultimately, I do not believe that she would take that advice that she gave to y'all. I do not believe that she would ever go against her husband. I think that she would always walk lockstep with her husband, because the only way that she's reached this point in life where she is now is because she walked lockstep with her husband. So stop letting these people tell you to do stuff that they didn't do themselves and would never be willing to do. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to get back to walking, y'all, getting these steps in. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.